So for my movement analysis project, I decided to look at the skill of pitching. And the purpose of this skill is to use the body as a system in order to move the baseball through the strike zone and past the batter in order to strike them out. And the motions are designed to increase velocity of the ball by increasing momentum through body turning. And I chose pitching because my boyfriend was a pitcher throughout high school, and I thought it would be better to film an experienced athlete perform the skill versus me trying to perform it and probably hurting myself. Plus, his experience and good form allows us to clearly view each phase and the movements involved in the skill. Also, pitching is a sport that really exemplifies the importance of anthropometry, and that it looks at the varying body shape and limb proportions, which will affect motion. And for pitching, the longer arm length and also being taller can help increase the velocity of the ball you throw. And the description of baseball is that it's an open system, and I say it's an open system because it involves a skill that must be altered due to changing dynamics of the environment, the object of interest, and the sport. And by this I mean that in pitching you have the same field setup as in 4 bases and an outfield, and you use the same ball throughout the game, and you're throwing the same distance each time between the plates, but you are going to have varying factors that will ultimately affect how you throw the ball each time. And this can include if you have runners on bases, what the coach tells you to throw, and then also how you throw the ball each time, the release, and the environment too, if it's hot or cold, if it's raining, or if there's wind involved. It's also a discrete skill, meaning that it has a definite beginning and definite end. And you can start pitching and you will know when you'll start the pitching, and you can see when the pitcher ends. You're going to start standing in its upright position, and you're going to end after releasing the ball and ultimately coming back to that position. And it just has a clear beginning and end. So I broke pitching, the skill, into 4 phases, and the first phase begins with the pitcher facing the batter at home plate, and he's going to have his arms bent and his hands up close to his chest or his face, and he'll have the ball in his dominant throwing hand. Then for phase 2, the pitcher will take a step backward with his non-dominant foot, and then turn his dominant foot away from the middle of his body, so towards the outside. Then he's going to lift his non-dominant knee towards his chest, and this will all cause him to rotate towards the dominant side of his body, away from the hitter, but his head is going to always face the hitter. And then for phase 3, he's going to pull his pitching arm back above his head and behind it, and then this is going to prepare him to thrust the ball forward, and the non-dominant foot that was brought up is now going to step down out in front of the body and he's going to start leaning forward. This is all going to prepare him for when he releases the ball. And then in phase 4, the pitcher is going to thrust his dominant arm forward over his head, and this can be in a linear motion or a slicing motion. It all depends on the kind of pitch he's going to throw. And he's going to release the ball once the hand is almost completely outstretched. And the momentum from using most of his body weight to throw the ball and the force from the arm going forward pushes the body forward. So that outstretched leg from phase 3 is going to catch all the transferred weight, and it's going to stop him from falling forward onto the ground. Also, the leg raised and the bent arms in phase 2 store energy. And then here are the pictures for each of the phases. And the muscles involved in all the phases that I decided to talk about were the biceps brachii, the latissimus dorsi, the rectus femoris, and the deltoid. So I chose some from the arm, the back, and the leg. And so in phase 1, they're all at low levels of involvement because you're standing on the mound, not really doing much. You're preparing for the next phases. And the biceps brachii are gonna contract and become smaller, and this allows the arm to be brought up towards the chest so he can have the ball and the glove near his face. And the rectus femoris is going to be isometric, meaning it's not going to change shape, and it's just going to contract, and this allows him to stand up straight by straightening the knee. And then in phase 2, the latissimus dorsi, so the back muscles, are going to move from low to high involvement, well, low to medium involvement, and they're going to shrink, and this is going to keep him stable as he's like on one leg. And the rectus femoris is going to go to high involvement, which is going to allow him to lift his leg towards the torso. And he's going to keep using that biceps brachii to keep his arms bent. Then for the third phase, all the muscles are going to be in medium involvement, and they're all going to continue to keep his core stable or keep his arms bent. And then the rectus femoris, as he takes that leg from being bent up towards him, it's going to stretch out from opposing muscles that are going to bring that leg down in front of him and straight, stepping on the ground. And the deltoid muscle is going to be highly involved and shrink to raise that arm above his head so when it goes back. And then for the final phase, he's going to continue to use all the same involvement in muscles, but the back muscles are going to go increase in involvement, so they're going to be stretched out to allow him to bend forward and not have his back contracted so he's upright. He's going to bend forward when he releases that ball and all that force. And then some important criteria for pitching are to have confidence in your pitches, because practice makes perfect, and it also creates confidence. And this can be important when pitching because it can allow you to create greater power, and then you don't overthink your movements, and that can cause problems. And another tip would be to use power and apply force, especially during the last phase, because that's when you're going to use the most work and need to increase the velocity of that ball. And a third and final tip would be to practice and know how you pitch best, because where you're comfortable is going to be where you pitch more often, and it's going to end up leading towards less injuries, and you're going to pitch better. And I mean, pitchers have different arm slots, so you need to know which one you feel most comfortable in. Some common errors of pitching would be applying too much weight to that outstretched leg in front of you in phase 3, or you could not step out far enough. And for beginners, if you don't step out far enough, you'll lean too far forward and that leg won't catch you, or if you apply all that weight to that leg and it's not exercised right, then it might not be able to catch all that weight and you'll end up rolling forward and falling forward. And a way to improve this would be resistance training and exercising those muscles so they're prepared to take on that transferred weight. Another error would be overthinking, and this could lead to over-exaggerating your movements, and that would make the pitch not turn out normal. You may throw off target or not throw hard enough or throw to the ground. And a way to overcome this would be practice. Also with overthinking can be underthinking. If you don't think through the movements, or if you don't pay attention to the mechanics of pitching, then you're not going to have the right speed, or you're not going to throw the right direction. And you have to actually think of all the steps involved in pitching to get it where it needs to go, and you're not just throwing versus pitching. And the way to get over this is also practice. The final common error would probably be not stretching enough, and this could really hinder pitching. If you need to be loose before you pitch, and a way to become loose would be to exercise all the joints and muscles involved in pitching, which include arms, shoulders, elbows, legs, and wrists. Some common injuries would be a torn UCL or torn rotator cuff, elbow injuries, and all those listed and more. And a UCL tear is a ulnar collateral ligament tear, and that ligament's on the inside of the elbow, and the unnatural bending of the arm in pitching can cause the ligament to become frayed or even torn over time when it's stretched too far. Also, pitching can tear the rotator cuff, which is the tissue that connects the muscle to the bone around the shoulder joint. And again, the stretching of the arm and unnatural movement can cause chronic wear and tear, which can lead to eventual torn rotator cuff.